and Twitch. International Master. FIDE Master. Wait, what's my title? FIDE Master International. We have submissions from Saeed, Astrobate, Nefidov, Yabatis, Jim, and Arsenal. To my knowledge thus far. For today's stream. Alright. What's up, guys? Welcome to Thursday's subscriber stream. We're going to get started with analysis. I've got games, no challenges. Imre Bardi. No challenges today. We're doing game analysis. Who's here? Mr. Coffee, Astrobate. My friends. Mr. Coffee, Astrobate. Who else is here? I saw somebody else. Merle Dixon in the chat. Is that right? Who else is here? All right, guys. Thanks, Mr. Coffee. What's up, man? Are you at work? Okay, how can you do this at work? I'm glad you can, though. You can stop by to tune in. Our moderator, Mr. Coffee. Saeed is here. Saeed submitted a game. I will honor your submission as you were a subscriber. Astrobate, Nefidov, Yabatis, Jim, and Arsenal are the other players who submitted games thus far for the stream. We still got room for a couple more. If somebody would like to add a game late, I can go over that as well. Got time for a few extras. Sorry I had to start a few minutes late. My apartment, we have a problem. My heater stopped working, so it's been kind of stressful today with no heat. Fortunately, it's not freezing here in Budapest. It could have been worse. Anyway, we're getting started nevertheless, heat or no heat. So our Saeed actually submitted this game first. To back a ways here. Hello, dear. Here's the link. Maybe he submitted it 3 times. Oops, I think he missed. He missed the submission. That's why he sent it 3 times. Sorry for the inconvenience. It's not there. I hope we have the Thursday game analysis. Do we? I don't know. I'm checking. Where are you? Here's the link. This is the 3rd one. I was late in the first one. Okay. I assume this is what we're looking at here. Is this the correct game? French defense, Steinitz variation, e4, c5. Please see the 3rd one. This is the 3rd one you sent me. This was the 3rd message that you sent me. I think that's the one you're talking about. Yeah. All right. So Saeed is white. It's e4, c5. Knight c3. Playing for a closed Sicilian. I'm going to close this analysis graph here because that sort of biases my judgment. Let's just close that. Everything okay with the stream, guys? Just getting started a little bit late. But, title, everything working? All right. Welcome, subscribers and friends. So closed Sicilian e6. This move is gaining in popularity. My teammate Sebe Attila played this on board 2 for my team. I was playing board 3 last Sunday against an old player. A6 is another move I think people like to play on move 2. Quite interesting system. But they often are transpositional, e6 and a6. I mean, even g6, we've had some interesting games with Morales, but e6 is standard. Now f4. Somewhere I have a book by, here it is. I have a book here by International Master Richard Palliser, which I've referenced before. But it's basically fighting the anti-Sicilians. It's over 10 years old. But what I wanted to do was to show what he said about this. Particularly the C3 Sicilian, closed Sicilian, closed Sicilian. Knight C3, E6, B, 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 B. So chapter B, I just want to give you an author's, professional author, his opinion on this. The Grand Prix attack. Grand Prix attack. So another question. Grand Prix attack, it means, well, rather than like trying to page this book, I'm going to just tell you what I know from what I read and what I've experienced. The opinion of a lot of experts is that f4 is not particularly good against e6. Basically, I think contemporary thinking is that after knight c6, f4, e6, black has a fairly safe road to equality. But I don't know what to suggest, really. I mean, after knight c6, you're here to play the closed Sicilian, so truthfully, g6 is good, e6 is good. Okay, like the worst place to play f4 is probably against a6. The system not really effective against like the a6 b5. So if you know your opponent is going to play e6 Sicilian, I don't think you should play f4. Against knight c6, you play f4 and you take your chances. Against a6, I don't think you should play f4. You should probably go back and do a closed Sicilian with g3. Someone on sound, welcome. WJ Loof, Oliveira, Lucas, welcome guys. We've still got room for a couple more games if you want to submit a game. To make a long story short, the Grand Prix attack is best against g6, probably. But here, knight c3, knight c6, f4, and see what black does. Against a6, you have no chance for even bishop b5. So probably we should give up completely on playing the Grand Prix attack. After e6, okay, Stockfish or someone is giving this an f4 dubious. I think that's a little bit too strong. But it's considered by many masters to be innocuous here. It's still enough for white to equalize here. Now there's two moves, knight c6 and d5. And I don't know, even a6 if you want to is another good move. Three moves. Apparently this is weird. I wouldn't play that. Anyway, d5 is one of the main lines. This is heavily analyzed in the Palliser book, but I don't really play this with black. WG Lift working outside today. Greetings from the Appalachian Trail. That's cool. Knight f3. So the other option is to take on d5, but I think knight f3 is best. Bishop b5. I'm going to turn off the engine here. Bishop b5 check is a move. Let's see. Knight f3, knight f6. So this move may not be good. D takes e4 is the move recommended, I believe, in this position. Palliser makes the point that this pawn on f4 is kind of a liability. After pawn takes e4, knight takes e4, I think this is an interesting position. What should black play here? Queen c7, knight d7, knight f6. I don't know. Oliveira, you get confused when to play as black against e4, f4 against the hyper accelerated dragon. Yeah, I mean, you can just stick with the program and play knight c6, g6, bishop g7. I've been experimenting with this move order with black. The only problem is that this allows a very unusual variation. Morales, one of our friends here on the stream, has played it against me numerous times now. After d4, it's a totally different variation. Not like any other. It's a very independent position. If you play knight c6, you can allow the independent line with bishop to b5. That's been my biggest issue. By the way, if you play the Grand Prix attack, I think knight c6, f4. It's very important that after g6, knight f3, bishop g7, white does not play bishop c4. This is the old way of playing the system, and I don't think it's that good for white. So you have to go with bishop b5, basically. Or just revert. You can always revert back to playing kind of close Sicilian, but perhaps not like the best variation with the knight committed to f3. Alright, so let's see the game. e6, I don't really like f4 here. I think you should play either transposing back to normal Sicilian. You can play a chameleon with knight e2, or you can play g3. My preference here is not to play f4, but he does. Okay, f4, d5, knight f3, but knight f6. And I think this is considered to be like not the best variation for black. Black Bear Fox Ginger, thanks for resubscribing for now 9 months. Sharing emotes in the chat. Thank you for being a subscriber. Black versus the Roslimo. This is not the Roslimo. That is not the Roslimo. It might seem similar, but it's not. Not the same, obviously, with f4 included. So this is considered inaccurate. Black's supposed to play either d takes e4 or knight c6, I guess. But knight c6 allows bishop b5. This is an interesting variation, also covered by Palliser. Knight e7, I think. So this is a secondary way of playing. Yeah, but that's not a Rosalimo either. The Rosalimo is knight f3, bishop b5. If we play knight c3, bishop b5, it's not a Rosalimo. It's a kind of obscure, kind of closed Sicilian. Right. So e takes d and queen e2. Yeah, this is supposed to be important, and this is mentioned in Palliser's book. That to play without ed is like inferior somehow. So this is supposed to be best. Gawain Jones versus Van Welly. So he's still up to his old tricks. Gawain Jones losing, though, with white against Luc Van Welly. 2018. I think this is losing a little bit of a surprise value there, Gawain. But the Grand Prix is not in fashion like it once was. Gawain Jones kind of keeping the British tradition of playing the Grand Prix attack alive. Yeah. Bishop b5 is the only move for white, I guess, against knight c6. Here he played knight f6. This isn't as good. And I don't know. After knight f6, white really has to play either bishop e5 check or e5. d3 doesn't look good. So let's see what he does. e5, knight fd7, and this transposes to a French. You actually transpose to a Nimzovich French. That's weird. It's a strange variation of... How is this? I guess we're going to directly transpose to a main line here. That's weird. Knight c6. I think that this is an unusual move for people who play the Grand Prix attack. So most of the people play g3, keeping it in a closed Sicilian. There's nothing wrong with d4, I guess, but black could take on d4. It's kind of interesting move order. Yeah. Knight c6 transposes to the main line. But what happens if black takes first? That would not be possible in a normal order of moves. Guys, welcome to the stream, subscriber stream with game analysis. This is a game submitted by one of our viewers, Saeed. Transposing from the Grand Prix attack to the French. Classical. This move order not possible in normal French. I'm curious what happens on CD4. We take with a knight, and then probably it would transpose, but black would be committed to a variation with an early exchange on D4. Not necessarily to black's benefit. Maybe it's not of any advantage to play c takes d. So he should just play like knight to c6, we transpose to a normal French. Not too many people are playing the Grand Prix attack here, Saeed, willing to transpose to a main line. This move I like, actually. I played this myself. This is a good idea to avoid the main variations. All the theory is like bishop e3. So knight e2 is pretty much like one of the only other moves you can play in this position to get out of the main line. I think I played this in a tournament game in 1999 in Germany, 20 years ago. Actually won with white. I had played this in a training game or two against an old computer, I remember too. I like knight e2 because it gets out of the main theory, and I think I played it in a correspondence game. You trap the f1 bishop, but it's only temporary. That's okay. He's waiting for later. So this is all theory. White has a decent score here. And then c takes d4. As always, the best is to usually keep the tension, so f6 is like main move. Yeah, I think I had a correspondence game exactly along these exact moves here on lichess. I don't remember what I did now. Maybe g3, probably. Because I like playing bishop h3 sometimes in this type of structure. This is okay. f6 is risky for black, but he has to do something. But this is a typical mistake. cd4 does not help black. How does this help black? To trade the c5 pawn for the c3 pawn is like a typical mistake. This doesn't benefit black in any way. Yes, he has a check, but this is actually a bad check. What is he going to do? Trade the good bishop for the bad bishop on c1? It's so funny because literally any move white makes here, I think he's better. Knight c3, bishop d2, except for knight fd2. I mean, even king f2. This is kind of a crazy idea to try to transpose to a... But you're threatening to take here on e5. This is a crazy idea. It's very similar to another line of the French, but the g5 breaks it all up. Black, yeah, this looks like a problem. If white had time to play h4, he'd probably have a decent position here. But there's no time. Just theoretically, this is a possibility. Knight c3 is a move, and bishop d2 is a move. Yeah, after knight e5, yeah, there's tactics. After king f2 immediately there, well, you've got to play f6. Knight e5, no, there's no knight e5. But you've got to play f6, threatening to take on e5. This actually looks like a good position for white, though. f3, I mean f6, bishop e3. So even king f2 is good. Then you could play like h4, stop g5. The virtue of this setup is that white trades nothing. He allows black to trade no pieces at all. With a space advantage, that could be very good. But he decided to play... Oh, you did play king f2. Wow. I would probably play just like bishop d2 if I were white. I don't see any problem with this. It's a good exchange, this bishop for this bishop. But the knight c3 allows the bishop to come out. That's the other possibility. Maybe we can just develop with bishop d3. So you have really all three moves are good. Even king f2. I don't believe this is bad. f6. I can't believe you did that. I have not seen this game, I swear to God. And he actually did king f2, king g3. I was just suggesting this because it's like that other line. Whatever it's called. You actually did king g3. Oh my God. You knew g5 was good for black. It's unlike your opponent to see it. Unlikely he'll see it. If you were playing this against our friend Muleskinner, he would have seen it. We had a number of games where I was playing that variation where this happens. Maybe 2 years ago, I was playing the Tarash with white. It's a Tarash variation. Yeah, if you had h4, you'd have a good game here. Normally, this knight is actually on g1 in that other variation. It's almost like you've gained sort of a tempo. That piece is already in play on e2. Yeah, this is extremely passive, so h4. And that stops g5. He had to play g5, break it up. He missed it. An unbelievable Kaminsky here. Who's Kaminsky? Sorry. I'm getting confused with Kempinski. Never mind. Marcin Kempinski is a Polish grandmaster. Kaminsky is a different player. I can't believe someone would play h3. h4 is the standard idea. Again, this is theory. If the knight is on g1, it's like a stock position. a6 doesn't contribute anything to black's position. And then king h2. But you don't need to run away with your king here. I'm not quite sure what white should do. This pawn is under attack constantly. King h2 to play knight g3. I mean, frankly, you could play anything. You could play queen b3 and probably have an advantage. The engine does not concur. It says it's equal. But we don't really want to... I just wanted to prove a point. You know, we don't really want to trade queens. But I just wanted to prove the point that white has a good position. It is tough to decide what to do now. Alright, king h2 is... I don't think it's a bad move. Your plan is to go here. Alright. That's really bizarre. Bishop d8. Never seen that played. And then g3. So his plan wasn't to play knight g3, it was to play bishop h3, which is a cool idea. I thought. Maybe you changed your mind after bishop c7. I still like bishop h3. It's a massive position for white. And if he ever plays f5, you can just play g4 with terrible. Black's whole position will just dissolve slowly. This is a disaster. Look at this. Black has 6 pieces in a 4x3 area. I mean, that's very bad coordination. Have that many pieces jammed into a little compartment. It means they're not working properly. Yeah, so you're sort of fixated on bishop d3, but this is a great move. What a bizarre game. And then you went back to h2. And now he found a new idea, knight f5. Yeah, I don't like king h2. What to do, though? I mean, you could even play h5 here. Nothing wrong with that. So both sides really don't have a plan. White plays b3. This is a good idea. I'm a little bit concerned about knight f5. Maybe it's not a big deal. He castles. Now the f-file. Sorry. The f-file becomes an issue. White wasted too much time. It still has a huge position. Yeah, I mean, while bishop takes e7 is not, it's not necessarily a blunder. It's very hard for me to want to trade such a powerful piece. I understand his knight can come to f5. I was worried about that too. Still, you're better. Look at this again. Those pieces bunched into a 3x3, excuse me, 5x3 area. In one little area. No, white has a lot of space. And now this f-file becomes a huge thing. Fortunately, his knight at f8 protecting h7. This is a bad move. Unnecessarily weakening the position. I think if you play directly here, maybe knight g5. Rook f1, or knight g5. Perhaps you can even sacrifice a piece. But I can see why you played a4. You didn't want black playing bishop b5. I'm curious about knight g5. I just have an instinct about this. No, can't do it. Yeah, this is just hanging. I keep forgetting. And now it's too much maneuvering in this game for me. This is good. How many king moves is that? Incredible. So he comes back to guard c3. The thing that makes me crazy about this game is I feel like you changed your plan like 100,000 times. If you had just been a little more consistent. You wanted to restrict the bishop on d7 forever. Yeah, it's pretty bad now, but he's breaking out with b5. Spectacular Camel, welcome. Yeah, it's weird. White changed plans so many times. Yet you still have the space advantage. The problem is too much simplification now. What about this square? Now you're just not winning. You might even lose because the pawns are fixed on dark squares. Becomes the target. Oh. This was a tough game to start with for the analysis stream. I mean, seriously. Oh my god. I had to get warmed up for this. You actually re-won the game again. This is Saeed's game. It doesn't seem to be like a clear win. The computer says queen f7, but difficult to see what that does. And so you played this, which just barely doesn't win. It's a great move. Unbelievable. Black's going to save this by a tempo. Clear. Weakness on G5. And it's the correct color rook pawn on A8. That's it though. Probably the easiest thing to do would be admit a draw now. And just agree to a draw in that position. This was an epic game, just very tough. And now you're lost? No. It's a draw. I mean, it's impossible. Nobody can win. A5 was played. This game gave me a headache, Saeed. Yeah, you had huge advantages, but I mean, I think from the beginning, where you start after the opening of such a huge position, for me, this is debatable. Even moving the king off of G3. But I think it turned out okay. G3, and now just go, you know. Just go with bishop H3. This position looks incredible. Do you guys see what I see? The chess engine is actually suggesting black sacrifices E6 pawn with check. Castles? Excuse me? Bishop takes E6 check. King H8. And black is okay. Wow. That is insane. And if you take this pawn, black starts to open it up. Oh my god. Yeah, I mean, who would find this move? Seriously. Bishop H3, castle. Raise your hand if you would play castle here. That's unbelievable. Unbelievable. We just have to play rook F1 first, and then black will defend the E6 pawn. Knight on D to B8. Oh my god. I don't want to see the French again today, please. Thank you. Turbine Oil, I'm not playing classical games. Thank you for the challenge. I'm not playing games. I'm serious.
For the last time, no.
No more French, please. Do not send me any more French games. That is, I mean, the other way is to leave your king on G3, honestly. I'm curious about not to play king H2. Because really you want your knight on F4. I think you could play A3. You could play H5. This is probably a reasonable move. I mean, it would give you more space. It would give you access to the H4 square. Let's say he castled after H5. This is not so stupid, rook B1. But the engine suggestion of rook H3, that's the idea that the king crawls back now. But it's a really contorted position. Very, very difficult to play for both sides. Okay. I don't want to see another one of those today. I don't even know what to say about it. Saeed played the opening well. He had a huge advantage, but it's not that easy. As we talk about constantly, exploitation of space advantage is really a difficult trick. So, Astrobate, what's up, man? Thursday sub game. And it's a cheapo. Oh, it's a quick game. Yeah, I'm sorry I can't really give you more conclusive suggestions for that game, Saeed. I mean, it was... I like the way you played it, you know, with King F2 and King G3. It's not unsound. I think in variations with g3, if he had played g3, bishop h3 is a very typical idea. I saw Igor Foigl do that in some kind of King's Indian attack against the French. If you play the King's Indian attack against the French, you get into these kind of lines sometimes. And g3, I would see people do g3 and bishop h3 instead of bishop g2. In that structure where you play e5 and you force the knight back to d7 and then play f4 and g3, the robotic bishop g2 isn't always good. Bishop h3 puts pressure on the base of the pawn chain. Okay, so this is just a sort of entertaining game from Acerbate. E45, knight f3, knight c6, bishop c4, and h6. Can't say enough bad things about this move. Pavel Blatny, the man who quit openings at one point. This is 1997, though. He was still playing real openings at that point. Blatny was a Spanish player with black. It's interesting to see him playing h6 on move 3. So he even had a predilection towards strange lines back then. Remember, he won the New York Open. He won the New York Open when it was in New Jersey. The New Jersey Open. New Jersey, New York Open. Very, very strong tournament. Around 1997. But h6, man, I can't abide by that move. I just can't stand by and recommend h6 as a good move to people. I would prefer to play a Hungarian defense, like bishop e7. Wouldn't you prefer to develop a piece to make a weak pawn move? I don't think Blatny quit playing chess. I think he just declined and doesn't travel much. I think I've still seen his name around at some Czech opens and stuff. h6, c3. Another one. This is like his special variation. He beat Pete in 2002. He probably had more like travel miles than any other grandmaster. So c3. It's looking like a good move. Obviously, you could try to bust it with d4. We've talked about this before. It's been tried successfully. 3 people killed Blatny with d4. 3 out of 4 ain't bad. But Acerbate, we've talked about this before. D4 is the most aggressive move you can play. Right. No, I mean, that's why I say he has to play d4. If you play c3 like Acerbate did, every slow move you play, you slightly justify h6. We'll see if we have time. So Acerbate sort of, I think he's actually falling off. Didn't you play d4? Yeah, next week definitely, Saeed. We can start the list. I can start the list for next week early. We can start 7 days in advance. Yeah, I don't know. I think in previous game, I told Acerbate to play d4, and he actually did it once before. You got to act fast to punish a move like h6. After c3, yeah, you're like justifying it to some degree. Pete played this and lost against Blatny. I mean, Blatny is a stronger player than Norman Rogers. I haven't seen Norman Rogers. Is he still alive? I haven't heard anything about him. He was a good guy. The last time I saw him, we played Hold'em poker at the Limit Hold'em cash at the MGM in Las Vegas. I think it was like 2005. but I haven't heard anything about him. He was a local master when I was coming up in Philadelphia. Anyway, acerbate c3, a little slow here. Bishop c5. I want to sack a pawn. Yeah, he's a Philadelphia, longtime Philadelphia player, FIDE master. But he's getting up there, you know. I haven't heard about him in a long time. Hope he's all right. c3, d4. This is just strong. So obviously bishop c5 is not the solution. Obviously Blatny played queen f6 here. He played d4. Black played d6. I mean, that's the point. He's got to hang on to that square. If Black has to surrender his center, he's basically screwed. And that's the problem with Acerbate's opponent here. Plays bishop c5, but d4. Now we can't maintain. We can't maintain the center. Let's see what the engine says. Knight f6. Knight f6 anyway. It's funny that that was played in one game by Matanadze, and she lost. But this doesn't seem as good as a normal Joko piano for Black. How bad is it after like e takes d4? Funny that there's no games. If we got a chess-based database open, we could probably find some lower-rated players who had played this before. This Opening Explorer only includes games where both players are 2200 plus. I mean, we're probably missing games where like one player is 2199 and one is like 2615, you know, which is, I think that's a serious drawback of this Opening Explorer. It should be based on average rating, not on whether both players are over 2200. I mean, so we're not going to see the game between the 2199 and the 2680 because one player is 2199. You know, it seems pretty arbitrary. But yeah, Black's opponent, I mean, White's opponent just d4. So now you have to take on d4 and play bishop e4 check and play a horrible Joko piano, or play bishop b6 or whatever. You cannot allow White to take on e5. But Acerbate played b4. Holy crap. I never liked this move, but it looks like he found the place where it's actually good. That is the best move according to Stockfish. Better get Bob's investigation team on this. Actually, Acerbate has a predilection to playing b4 and a4. And rarely does it actually seem best. If you play queen b3, for example, Black can play queen f6, like an Evans or something. WJ Loof, exactly what I was saying. Yeah, it's an Evans. b4, favorite move. HTFP, what's up? Thank you for joining us, guys. Subscriber stream, we're doing game analysis, games that were submitted previously for analysis here. I wouldn't have found b4. I would have played like a routine recapture, which is probably good. It's got to be a good Joko piano for White. I mean, h6 is a far less constructive move than playing knight f6. So, I mean, there's nothing wrong with c takes d. There's probably nothing wrong with playing it like a Danish gambit. You see these Blatny games? He actually won 2 games. I would take White any day in a match against Blatny. Let's see. I think we played twice and I lost one and won one. Anyways, b4, bishop b6, a4. And then Black just loses a piece for no reason. Clearly White is threatening a5. And he just doesn't respond. So, It's an Evans. A5, B5. Where does he go? You know what this looks like, guys? It looks like the time that Garry Kasparov played the Evans Gambit against your own Piquet. And Piquet played like the Evans declined. Very similar to this. Does anybody know that game that I'm talking about? Kasparov actually brought the Evans out of the theoretical treasure room. It's a bad Evans decline, exactly. That's what it is. So in the Evans declined, what you get is like this. You get bishop c4, bishop c5, and b4. This is Kasparov Piquet, and Piquet played bishop b6. And then white plays like a4. I don't know if that game is in the list here. Yeah, 1995. And I think that he played a5, right? Yeah. It's not good for black, this declined Evans. b5. It's very much like that, what happened in the game. We should actually get Astrobate to play the Evans. Why don't you play the Evans? You know, the funny thing about it, maybe Astrobate just doesn't share his games with bishop c4, bishop c5. But we never ever see any of Astrobate's opponents playing bishop c4, bishop c5. a5 is nice. You have a serious obsession, Warnacki, with a5. All right. This was his idea. I get it. Why did you take on c3? The whole point, he played a4 and he didn't play a5. Giving black too much credit. Yeah, a6 is playable instead of a5 in the Evans decline. But I think they're both bad. Black should accept the Evans gambit. The best way to refute a gambit is to accept it. The only way to refute a gambit is to accept it. So Astrobate just took back. Doesn't want to win by material. Queen b3. Uh-oh. Yeah, now clearly the only way to resist is to play d5 and just sacrifice this pawn. I mean, it's still horrible for black. It looks horrible. You gotta check, at least, and then the king has to stay somewhere in the center. So there would be some chance for survival, I guess. Not a lot of chance for survival, though. How is the black king going to get out of there? An f7? How about bishop a5, Warnacki? Does that count? Accepting the Mora is perhaps good, but I forgot. He forecast a sad afternoon. Oh. Well, the Evans is a little bit better than the Mora, I think. But this isn't even an Evans. I don't know what this is. This is a blunder opening. So queen b3, and then it's just ripping him apart. King f8. Knight e5. Oof. Not a lot of choices, it looks like. This is mate. This is the mate. So knight e7 is your only move. I'm just trying to figure out what's the best move for white if he plays knight e7 without watching the engine. If knight e7, there's no mate, and there's no way we can get across here. Black can play d5. Sadly, there's going to be no easy win. No, that's true. Black can play d5 as well. I mean, I guess we could just win material like knight g6, king f7, knight h8. You know, probably that's good enough. Yeah, but there's no mate. Knight e7 is the best move. And it's not trivial. Like after bishop h5, d5, he blocks the diagonal. This wouldn't have been so easy for white. And you got to get your king out of the center. I think you should castle. So it's just a question of long-term king safety. All right, Astrobate, you were lucky again. Opponent blundering that beautiful maiden one. Bang. Always lucky. The luckiest player on lichess. 0 inaccuracies, 0 mistakes, 0 blunders, 32 Xenophon loss. That's your tablet. I don't believe it. I don't believe you have no inaccuracies, no mistakes, no blunders. Alright, what do we got? Spectacular Camel, otherwise known as Ubatis. Nefedov is up next. There's a time and place for gambits. I mean, I think gambit openings are okay for beginners up until a certain level. And then you gotta like stick with the really, really sound gambits. The Benko is not really a gambit, it's more of like a positional sacrifice, you know. I wouldn't lump that in with classical gambits. Things like that, you know. Alright. The Evans Gambit is marginal. I think it's legitimate at a master level, but not many gambits really are. Kasparov proved it, you know. If Garry Kasparov could play the Evans Gambit at the highest level and defeat some strong players, I mean, I think it's viable. Blavik said, I don't play weak players. I'm only bad when I'm at the board. If you don't know who the weak player is, yeah, it's probably you. So, actually last week in my team game, I played the lowest rated player I've played in like 2 years. The guy was 2,050. I have not played anyone under 2,100. Probably more than 2 years in a tournament game. I just haven't played in any opens since 2017, I don't think. I haven't played in an open. I haven't played anyone in that below 2,100 since like 2016. I don't think. But I'd like to. I'm hoping to play a tournament in the Hungarian Chess Federation in January. Excuse me. I might take a little time off the stream. For the second week of January. There's like a kind of weaker open at the Hungarian Chess Federation, something where I could maybe gain some rating points for a change. Yeah, I mean, no, seriously, Blubix, I'm only playing Hungarian Team Championship and Budapest Team Championship, and most of my teams will have 12 boards and the lowest rated players. I mean, he could play like a 2050, could play like board 11 on my team. They would play board 11, you know. That's how strong the difference is between the team that we play. We won 10-2. My opponent on board 3, I was playing board 3. He would have been playing like board 11 on my team. You won an endgame in the French Cup last Sunday. The guy played well, though, and he reached a drawn endgame, but it unfortunately ended in a serious oversight of a tactical cheapo. Your fellows laughed at you the whole dinner? For winning, or what? Tell us the reasoning. Okay, guys, so Nefedov is up next. Number 4. Game 4 was what Nefedov said, I believe. Here it is. This time, round 4, excuse me. Round 4 from the Preston Chess Congress. Pavel doesn't get to play much. Are you here, Pavel? Oh, Anand just turned 50. I'm glad that he still plays. I just don't want to see him in the World Championship anymore. You don't win endgames. Usually they say I cheated. I get it. I agree. The last endgame you played against me. What did you do? You just like checkmated me. Yeah, you don't do endgames, really. That's why I criticize you for playing the Marazzi with white. It's normally an endgame grind kind of opening. All right, we've got Nefedov. Round 4. Okay, guys. Pavel is white. Oh no. Is this a mistake? Let's get this. Nefedov is one of the most devoted Schliemann or Yanish gambit players I know, and his opponent plays e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop b5, f5. Is that a good idea, do you think, to play the guy's own pet opening against him? Yeah, I mean, we're all shocked that Kramnik quit chess, but I just don't think Anand will do that. Maybe. I can't believe this guy played the Schliemann against Nefedov. Yeah, he means retire. I agree, Blobix. It looks like d3 is good. I used to think this was utterly stupid. But I'm starting to come around, you know. It looks passive. It's not as fun as the other variations. It seems like it's weak, it's slow, it's not aggressive. I never actually bothered to care to put it on Stockfish to see what this silly Stockfish would say. Stockfish is of the opinion that d3 is equally good as knight c3. I mean, this is the move that I've always played knight c3. I was taught to play knight c3 by my friends and by books. This has always been the main line and the only really good line for white, according to theory. But recently, it seems like there was this book I was talking about that the Weed Master, my friend Joe, has by some Filipino master or candidate master, Junior Tay. He wrote a book about Schliemann, and I think he gives a lot of credit to d3 as being a really dangerous line. But Nefedov's going classical here, and he knows his stuff. Fe4. I like this move. Nefedov plays d5, and it may be the better move. I don't know. But I know one thing, it's a lot more complicated. d5 is incredibly complicated after knight takes e5. And Pavel knows these lines really, really well for black. And it's necessary that you know it. And I looked at this very deeply, and I'm not sure if white can really get an advantage. There are extensive correspondence games that are like 30 moves deep in these variations, and I'm just not sure. I'm just not sure that white really has anything or not. Yeah, de4, knight c6, queen g5, queen e2, all this stuff. It just goes on forever. So, but black played knight f6. This is the move that I like better, and sort of brought the Schliemann back into popularity because I think it's easier for black to play. Basically, this allows like a pawn sack. Black has to sacrifice his e-pawn in some lines to get like a bishop pair and some compensation. So takes, queen takes, castles. The two other moves I know are queen e2 and takes, excuse me. This is another move, knight f6, by the way. But knight c3 takes, knight f6. So there's knight f6, queen f6, queen e2. I think I played that for both sides. And there's also like queen e2 right away. Maybe they can transpose. I'm not sure. But this is the main line. Knight f6, queen f6. Castles is not the main line. So we'll see what Nefedov knows here. Yeah, he just goes out of theory. Wow. That's it. D3, the great Nefedov, against his own opening. I think it's a conspiracy. There was a game I did for the site that I work for, chesslecture.com, last month. Well, a game in the London Chess Classic where Maxime Paschall had to play against the Najdorf. And the point was, how do you play against your own opening without giving away your knowledge? You know, that's the moral of the story. How does Maxime Vachier-Lagrave play against the Najdorf without giving away ideas as to what he thinks is best? So you've got to win the game, and you've got to not give away your secrets at the same time. You know, here Nefedov has to win the game and not give away his secrets, his theoretical secrets against the Schliemann. So anyway, I mean, it looks like you're supposed to play queen e2. This is the main line, and you win a pawn. Bishop takes c6, and I don't even know which way is better for black to recapture here. I thought the book recommendation was d takes, knight takes e5, and black sacks this pawn permanently. Two bishops and active lines for the black pieces. Yeah, they also take toward the center. Well, the argument against taking toward the center, I guess, is that it doesn't open the bishop directly. So after knight takes e5, there are a lot of games, though. Black's scoring really okay here. Queen e6. So this is like modern chess engines influencing theory. You know, until computers got strong, this variation probably didn't even really exist theoretically. You can see all of these games are post 2010. At some point, somebody plugged it into a computer. They were like, "Yeah, b takes c is not a bad move," because this was clearly the main line with d takes. But it should be more dynamic to take with the b pawn toward the center. I think that black is okay, and this is one of the reasons why the Schliemann has become popular again. You know, most people don't have the capacity to play the line that the Nefedov plays, honestly. This variation is tedious. After takes, d5. This is a very, very tedious line to play for black. But this variation with knight f6, it's much easier to play. This is another interesting move, though. I've had a number of games in this line. Now d5. Now knight takes f6 check. And now g takes f6 check. This is also okay for black. This is a well-known variation that's been around longer. Anyway, so I don't think Nefedov got anything. Takes, castles, and d3. That's it. That's it. Walter Whitman. Black played knight d4 now. Apparently you can also castle. That's only been tried in one game. Mladen Zelic, the guy I played c3 against. I have so little respect for the Smith-Morra Gambit that I tried to get this guy, who's like a Smith-Morra Gambit expert, to play the Smith-Morra Gambit with black. So I played c3 on the first move to try to induce him to play e5, so then I could thus play c4 on move 2, and he could play d5 playing the Smith-Morra Gambit with reverse colors. But he didn't cooperate. He played c3 f5. I was devastated, but I won the game anyway. But seriously, knight d4 looks like it's a move to the bird's defense. I don't really like knight d4. I mean, why not just develop a piece here? Castle. Bishop g5. Kind of a weird position. But it's okay. You could even go here. You could go here. I wonder what the book recommendation is. This is probably published somewhere. Knight d4. Knight d4. Ivanchuk. Strangely, Ivanchuk is one of Nefedov's heroes. I wonder if it's a coincidence that Ivanchuk is Ukrainian and so is Nefedov. And is it a coincidence? They played the exact same move, Queen h5 check. So Ivanchuk managed to beat a player who was 400 rating points lower than him. Not really a big accomplishment. The other games were draws. Walter Whitman is a player who's really well prepared theoretically too. He played many times. He's old now, but he was really an expert in opening theory. Is still. He has Grandmaster level preparation. Queen h6, c6, bishop c4. This is probably a bad move. I mean, bishop c4 allows d5 with tempo. Can't believe Nefedov got nothing against his own defense. I find it hard to play against my own. That's a good joke, Percy. Very good joke. I find it hard to play against my own openings. King f7. The problem with king f7, the king isn't that safe and you're still tied down to the h7 pawn. I don't like the look of this location here. Even though there's nothing immediately white can do. Like white can't play f4, f5 easily. He can't break open this diagonal easily. You're tied down to the h7 pawn. I think the bad puns are just brutal. Yeah, castle's queenside. I mean, I know the king isn't completely safe there, but man. I think black could even play like g5 next move. If it was his turn here. Black should be fine. King f7 looks like a definite inaccuracy. Nefedov immediately goes ultra-violent with c4. Strong move. This changes everything. Apparently, black found the only move. Yeah, that's nasty, though. It forces a trade of queens. The only problem, there's no en passant. There's only one chance at en passant, and once you don't do it, you can't do it again. So let's turn off this engine. He forces the trade of queens. Nefedov loves trading queens. So that certainly didn't bother him. Yeah, surprisingly, this is a big blunder. Queen takes f4. There's probably some computer-like move that I don't see here. I mean, we're just facing the loss of a pawn. D takes c4 looks kind of dubious. Man, it's hard to recommend a better move. You don't even tell me black has like a5 or something. a5, no. I don't believe it. Oh, bishop e6. You have to watch the check on c7. Watch the check on. Yeah. See, black was so excited to trade queens. Yeah, I mean, bishop e6 looks like a good suggestion. I know that it's there in broad lights, bishop d6, but I want to see this. Check. I think the white still has significant advantage here. After check, queen e7, queen g3. The black king is not safe. There may be other ways that white can gain an advantage there as well. Man, but I would not have found this for black. See, this is the problem with chess engines, and when people say, oh, the engine said I was equal. Yeah, if you found like a 10-move continuation that was perfect, that only a computer could calculate, you were completely equal, you know? So we can't just judge positions based on what Stockfish says 0.00. It's only 0.00 if you play like 10 perfect moves in a row, you know? That's not practically 0.00. That's being a computer, you know? There should be a evaluation of positions based on, you know, what the average human player's capacity is. This position is actually much better for white than the engine is letting on. Much harder for black to play than the engine's letting on. Let's put it that way. So if he doesn't play the perfect moves, he's clearly worse. Yeah, I don't think I would have found this. I'm not even fully sure I understand how it works. So you're like losing a pawn on d5. And you're playing this positional sacrifice here. I mean, this is like a Magnus Carlsen level. Pawn sacrifice. To be frank. I still think that white is better. I mean, after something like a4, I think it's more likely that the white kingside pawn majority will create a passed pawn of significant value. Yeah. Yeah, the bishop on b3 is a dead piece, but I mean, he could put it on c4. It can kind of keep black's queenside immobilized. It isn't great, I admit. Yeah, that's a really tough position for black. I mean, to not see that is human, and this would have probably been what I would have played. I wonder how bad it was to play bishop e6, like I was looking at. This is really bad. I suggested queen c7, queen e7, and queen g3. And the computer thinks that white has a huge advantage. Because black can't trade queens and the king is kind of stuck in a vulnerable position. Obviously the e-file is extremely deadly quickly if black doesn't do something. Black has full compensation because of the king activity. Well, yeah, if you trade queens, that's another thing. The king activity, right? If you trade queens, the king's subtly well placed. If you don't trade queens, the king is badly placed. And vice versa. So, white wants to keep the queens on. Black wants to get the queens off. He did get the queens off in this case. And now he's losing a pawn. No, he's not. Wait, what's up with this? Bishop e5. Oh yeah, of course he is. He can't play bishop g7. Losing the d4 pawn. And I feel I might have missed it too. Bishop e5 is better. This is still strong though, but it's not as strong. I'm afraid there's a line where we grab the pawn on d4 and black plays rook d8 and then the d3 pawn falls. I mean, he also has, yeah, rook g8. This is disaster. He has rook e4, perhaps. I didn't even see bishop e4. This is like a really critical position. Basically, Nefedov messed up. He didn't calculate properly. He should have played this first. This is hugely better. Because after rook g8, you just snapped his pawn. You know, there's a big difference between this position and this position. If we were to like interpolate that exchange, or let's just say we go here, here, and let's say we were to play this, right? In this position, after bishop takes d4, black has rook d8, and maybe this pawn will be weak. But if we have this exchange, if it's this kind of situation, where bishop takes here, I mean, exchanging this bishop here will just make white's structure completely okay. Now we're just up a pawn for nothing. If we have pressure against the backward pawn on d3, we have compensation. Either side could develop at some point. We're not moving rooks in this game, alright? They're both playing rook odds. Interesting game, though. White, an expert in the Schliemann defense, believe it or not. Schliemann, whatever. Gambit, what do you call it? So he just plays a simple way, but he doesn't get much here. And this is just an unbelievable blunder. I mean, nobody wants to play rook g8, but you can't let white get a rook on the 7th rank, man. I feel like Mr. Scott from Star Trek. Given her all she's got, Captain. This is ridiculous. You cannot let white put a rook on the 7th rank. It's like a cardinal rule. This wouldn't be so bad. Bishop e5, rook g8. Bishop takes d4, rook d8, rook e4. Doesn't even really work. Well, I think the Jaenisch and the Schliemann are varying on probably like where you're from. It's kind of like the Volga Gambit and the Benko. If you live in Russia, it's called the Volga Gambit. If you live in the West, it's called the Benko. It's the same with the Schliemann and the Jaenisch, I guess. But chess names are kind of, they're not copyrighted. Chess opening names. Who has the right to give chess openings names anyway? Man, I think black's holding on here. I kind of feel sorry for Nefedov's opponent. See, the problem isn't just that white has a rook on the 7th rank. Black's entire pawn structure just got demoted. 3 categories in terms of value. I mean, losing this pawn on b7 is going to mean that this pawn is weak. The whole chain is weak now. All the pawns are weak. I never sold my Star Trek chess set. It's still in storage, if anyone's interested. Star Trek: The Next Generation from the Danbury Mint. Rook e7. Oh. Is that a good move? Yeah, I guess Nefedov would have been. That's a good question, though. If you play king f6, do you take the pawn or do you double rooks on the open file? You double rooks first. Clearly. This is sad. King h6. That's not good. An open Star Trek chess set, well, mine came like piece by piece, you know, it was like installments. Someone bought it for me. I got bad news. I don't think c5 is going to help. Maybe black needs to play like a5 now, pronto, stat. You need to break into the structure immediately. Does anyone want to wager on the best move for black here in this position? Friendly wager without seeing the engine. All right. We got the chess set waiting for you. We'll keep it in storage. It's not going anywhere. A little bit of rosé wine. We're all out of beer, guys. You're a fan of a5. I vote for a5. Let's see if you're right. The reveal of the best move for black, according to Stockfish. I say a5. It was on the list for a moment. It's not there anymore. Give it a little time. Let's kick it into overdrive. It takes the computer a while to come around. My intuition is getting weak. It found a better plan. Oh! There it is. Oh! Come on. A5. A5. There it is. Yes. 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 Can we stop it? Somebody. Take a screenshot. We should have taken the screenshot when it was on A5. It's at depth 28 now. It's back. It's back. Move 26. Second on the list. No. It really likes this idea of transferring its rook to the A file. I admit I didn't see this. Sadly, no. I didn't see this idea. This is a really cool idea. Black is a clear pawn down, however, and it's not sure he's going to be able to save the game. Even c5 might not be that bad. And he found the only continuation, rook b5. But I'm afraid there's a problem here, right? Maybe we can play we can still play a5 Warnaki. I'm not at all afraid of the back rank. If rook a5, a4, rook a6, rook takes c5, rook b6, rook b5. Yes, you should always prefer counterplay, active defense. That's the key word, Saeed. Active defense. King g5 is a good move. This is not a good position for the black rook, really. Then again, maybe this isn't such a great position for the white rook. I don't have my... Yeah, I guess king f4 doesn't matter. This is a bad position for the rook. I mean, if we go back a minute... I mean, should we... We can't do this, right? I mean, it's like a4, and we're just dead. On the other hand, it depends on how quickly you get the king over here to d5. But in the same time, White will be able to get his king over here. So let's see what happened. I'm taking forever on this game. This is a very passive placement, defending a7. h4, threatening h5. Nefedov is a decent endgame player. He was trained in the Pioneer Palace. It's always a good sign. I'm not sure he had to go that way. There's also an argument for king d2, rook f7, f3, but then I guess you got rook f4. But we're going to just take on a7. Maybe he's right about this. This is interesting. The computer's actually looking at king f1. So if king d2, rook f7, we just go back. We have to repeat position. This is probably the right plan. King f3. Interesting rook in game. King g3. And now he's starting to penetrate? Not really. There's no time. Can White make progress? Rubinstein. Doesn't Nefedov need to play like g4, f4? Or at least g4? He needs to move the g-pawn to g4 over his king. Oh, you're kidding me. So he went back to f1. The engine liked that. Oh, the plan is to play g4. And he did it. I was just saying you need to jump your g-pawn over the king. There it is. I don't know why it says dubious here. The best move was g3. Because this king can walk in. Maybe the king could walk in. Maybe you have to prepare it more slowly. But it works out. It worked out. Yeah, here. King f4. Black had an opportunity to play king e5, king f4. And that's why it would have been better to play g3, apparently. And prepare it more slowly. But his opponent wasn't really strong enough in endgame technique to spot that opportunity. And now, Nefedov was able to get that pawn majority moving, which is essential to winning the game. Yeah, there's no need for king f1. After rook e7, dude can't go here. I mean, he's going to go after the d3 pawn. We're going to take too much stuff. Rook a7, rook h7. I don't believe that black can give up both those pawns. So this is unnecessary. Really unnecessary. Probably it's a tough decision here for White, though. Even f3 is possible. Even though that seems crazy. Maybe just like king f3. I think king f3, rook f7 check, king g3, rook e7, and then just f3, rook e3, and then take everything. This is bad. So now he's going to try to make progress using his rook actively. I guess he's going to move h5 or something like that. A new plan. This is a terrible move, king f1. I mean, if you're going to put it somewhere, put it on f3. King f1 is awful. They're going to be taking down his picture at the Kiev Pioneer Palace. It's ridiculous. Former comrade Pavel Nefedov played king f1. You can't do that. No. King f3. He's an old man like me. He's getting tired at this point. That's all you have to do to beat an opponent who's like 40 years or higher. I'm 39. Just tire them out and get them to like move 50, and then they just collapse and start playing like stupid moves like King F1. Infinite Flash Chess, what's up? Good to see you, man. This is terrible. On the other hand, you could argue White can do whatever he wants because Black, can't improve his position. Access road, but the pawn majority just became a real thing. Not the most accurate way for White, but he may not have spoiled his position. Shereshevsky was a great trainer. He recently died. I have one of his books here, but the most famous, this is called the Soviet Chess Conveyor. But his most famous endgame book, endgame strategy, his most important concept was do not rush. So basically, as long as Nefedov doesn't spoil his position here, it doesn't matter if he makes King F1 or some slight inaccuracy. As long as he can go back in a circle and improve his position, he hasn't totally destroyed his position with the inaccuracy King F1. Still, he has... What's up, Nefedov? Making jokes at your expense again. So F5. The other option is H5. But I suspect we have to think this through. I mean, calculation is important, but there are two considerations. If you have a passed pawn, if it's further outside, that's usually good. The problem is with rook pawns, they have a lot of handicaps. And the rook pawn is oftentimes the worst pawn to be up in endgame, particularly rook endgames, allow for drawing chances. So I'm not sure if White should be breaking with like F5 or H5 in this position. Maybe we're just winning at this point. Ultra safe. No, A3 is a good move. Black doesn't really have a threat anymore. Alright, so luckily if A4, you have B4. And so Black is dead. Rubinstein Jr. This is one of many ways to win. Nefedov, I mean, I was overall like impressed by your endgame, but we're all a little bit disappointed by the opening. We thought we'd see the refutation of the Schliemann, and it just feels like you're hiding your secret preparation. You got nothing, really nothing. It looks like, but there was a little bit more poison in the opponent. The opponent really expected there. It looks like, if we think about this opening theoretically, I don't like knight d4. This ended up like losing the game. So there's very few practical examples, but it looks like Black should castle. And there's only this one game where Mladen Zelic was Black. But I just don't feel like White should necessarily have much here. Looks like Nefedov managed to beat his own opening without giving away his secret preparation. Congratulations. Alright, Bishop g5. The computer's coming up with something here. Bishop g5. Totally unplayed position. Queen d6. Queen e2. Maybe Nefedov knows more than we think. Alright, guys. So now we've got Yabatis, Jim, and Arsenal. I got another game from WJ Loof. Alright, we've got to make sure we've got it all down. I'm kind of allotting time based on how many games we had, you know. Classic rook and pawning game, like, I appreciate Nefedov has a classical training. He appreciates the Rubinstein rook endgame, properly trained at the Pioneer's Palace. Okay, so Yabatis is up next. Yabatis is... Actually, Nefedov might be too young to have been properly trained. It's scary. I think of him as an old man like me. He might actually be too young to have proper Soviet training. Yabatis, where is it? Where is it? Is it this? No. Yabatis, where is your submission? It must be this one. Stream submission. The game illustrates a more mad side of my chess playing. This was played in an unrated tournament over the board. Time control 1.5 hours. Plus half a minute, 30 seconds in other words. Per move increment. Will is a mere youth compared to some of us. Nefedov, no. Good endgame technique. He never had it. He never let it out of control. But that A5 moment was interesting. When Black could have tried. I think that he had real drawing chances there. The kind of endgame... I heard this really crazy noise. It just scared me. You guys see me jump? I just jumped. Hold on a second. You okay? All right. All right. The game illustrates, I said this already. Kaisha is a cougar. I hope so. You can hope. You'll channel the spirit of Bob if you keep saying things like that. Spectacular camel with white. E4, D5, E takes D5, Queen D5, Knight C3. I still believe in Queen A5. Trend, it's not trendy to play Queen A5. But I still think this is... I bet it comes back into fashion. So here, well, I like to recommend the Elvest variation. Elvest has left... I'm like Hungarian through and through. I call him Elvest. Elvest has left the building. If you need something against this line of the Scandinavian, this is a good system for white to avoid theory, like a really simple way to play. You don't necessarily have to sacrifice a pawn. There was a guy, an American IM, playing a lot in Budapest when I first moved over here. From Chicago, this guy Sean Nagel, he was playing constantly. He was playing this Scandinavian with Queen A5 and a lot of GM tournaments with me. He didn't do great with it, but he did okay. Well, I mean, Queen A5 it's the main line. You know, it still is probably, but anyways, so we have a fun variation here. B4, the wing gambit. How many tempi is a pawn worth? You know, I show oftentimes this example of Morphy versus Anderson. Wait. I think it was Morphy Anderson. E4, D5. Pawn D5, Queen D5, Knight C3, Queen A5, Knight F3, E5, D4. Pawn takes pawn? I don't sound too convinced, no. It's not this. It has to be a different move. Wait. No, of course. It's d4, e5. Pawn takes pawn. Queen takes pawn, check. Bishop e2. Bishop e4. Knight f3. I use this as a good illustration of how many tempi, a pawn is worth, essentially. After bishop takes c3, b takes c. Like Morphy's game is not in the lichess Opening Explorer. Obviously. That's sad, isn't it? I mean, why should Paul Morphy's games be in the lichess Opening Explorer? They're not important or anything. It's not lichess's fault. It's a third-party software. But queen takes c3 check, bishop d2. I won this game against a national master, actually. In this position, knight c6, castles. This is weird. I know for a fact that knight f6 has been played, because that's what my opponent played in a master level game. And there's another game with knight e7. But anyway, this is my illustration of, here somebody played queen d6. How many tempi a pawn is worth? This is a perfect example. We have more than enough compensation. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll count the king as a developed piece. So we have like 5 developed pieces. Black has essentially like 2 developed pieces. His king's still in the center. It's like 3 tempi. Yeah, so that's the traditional answer. We have to have 3 tempi for the sacrificed pawn. So after this sacrifice, we sacrifice a pawn. Queen e6. Now, we don't have quite enough. And look at the score. We don't have, it's more like 2 tempi in this pawn sacrifice. So, Hikaru managed to beat Hars V because he's Hikaru. Sometimes 2 will do. 2 will do like in Blitz. 1 will do in a bullet game. But Yabatis is having fun. So bishop c4, knight f6. It's like a queen d6 Scandinavian. White is simply missing his b pawn for this tiniest tricky compensation. Yeah, I mean, one would think that maybe c6 is worthy of consideration here. That does a lot of things, including giving the queen a retreat square at c7. I wonder, what does the oracle say? Oracle agrees with Ronan Hars V. It's not necessary to play c6. It did consider a6, though, interestingly. So this is kind of a shot in the dark. Scary looking move, but at the end of the day, okay, we'll go home. The initial position is not too weak. Look, we have no weaknesses. That's the beauty of Black's position here. This is supposed to be a game for our hero, Spectacular Camel, playing white. But I'm using it as a teaching example of a probably correct play for Black. He's played correctly so far. I don't believe white has enough compensation. This is like the Black Mardimer gambit or something. We're basically, in this case, like, we're down a pawn. We have really no compensation. The knight might even be misplaced on b5. But he's having fun. Now Black played e6, which we never want to do unless we have to, but I think I would probably kick that guy out of there first. But you would do something crazy like knight e5. Welcome to the stream, guys. I just want to remind everyone we have a normal schedule. So Friday, that is tomorrow, we're going to be doing Fast Blitz stream at 11 o'clock Central European time, if you can make it. Guys, please support the stream by subscribing. Donating if you can afford it. I accept bits, MasterCard, Visa, PayPal. Food stamps. My heater quit. We got a guy coming tomorrow to fix it. So don't forget to support the stream, guys. I don't even have heat in my apartment right now. Okay, knight. I feel sorry for me. Knight f3, e6. I don't want to play e6 and block in my bishop on c8. That's the only thing. If black could, it would be nice to play g6. On another topic, this reminds me of the Black Mardemer, and I don't really like the variation with e6 against the Black Mardemer. You're not convinced about knight b5. I'm with you, brother. This is definitely it's getting in the way of the rook. You know, I think I want my rook b5. That's what Morphy did. That's what I did. We employed the concept of rook b5. Also common in the Petrov. Rook b1, rook b5. It's better with the queen on c5 though. So we're gonna have some fun. Bishop b2, c6, knight c3. Whoops. Bishop b7. I love this. Leboyevich. Leboyevich would appreciate this. g4 probably. So gotta love g4. I mean, you sacrificed a pawn with b4, and now you're doing g4. It's a Polish grob. It's a Grolish gambit. Grolsch. g4, castles. g5. Yep. All or nothing. I agree. Bishop on d3. Of course, then he might walk into knight f4. Tempting to play rook g1. This is maybe a little more natural. This is just totally coffee house. We have time for that. I love this, though. Of course, like we're avoiding exchanges of pieces because we're attacking. Oh, no. Masturbate Mega Cheer, 1,000 bits. Man, you're the best. Asturbate with 1,000 bits, guys. Thank you so much, man. 25 emotes shared. I gotta... What did I get? What did I get? Yeah, this is just strong attack now. I think white has full control of the position at this point. Material no longer has any meaning. I think black might almost be lost now. Black's going to have to do something totally crazy like f6 to not die. I think f6 or f5 right now, immediately. Yeah. No. I told you guys at the chess club in Boston where I played for like over 15 years. I would play every week in this Blitz tournament, and the director was like a 1700 player, and in like 10 years he never beat me, but there was this one time when I hung mate, you know, to the classic knight h6. It's the only way I ever lost against him. Like the weakest player I ever lost to in a tournament Blitz game. He was around 1600, and he got me with the knight h6. e5, though, black seems to be aware of the long diagonal here. There is another problem, the other long diagonal. So this is fun, all in good fun. h5. Oops, I'll develop a queen. I think that white is still very, very good. But what about f5 now? It appears he might actually be facing queen h3, but then... Yeah, I guess that's too devastating. Maybe there's no going back now. Queen c8? Queen c8. Looks like a try. Queen d7 is better according to the engine. The only move, Queen d7. But what's the point? Yeah, because if you play Queen h4, then pawn takes g5. So it would be funny if Queen d7, Queen h4, pawn takes g5, Queen h2. This is my plan. And then you're like betting all your chips on the h-file. Apparently it's not enough. So this was the point of no return for black in this game. Literally the point of no return. He's about to collapse, but he can still defend. He played the second best move. Yeah, that's probably what I would have played. And then... what's the problem with this move? You can't trade queens. You'd be barely better. There's this. Whoa. Not what I expected now. d4. I think you have something... you might have something crazy like knight h5. Black has b5. I'm sorry. I didn't see b5. Sorry. I didn't see the response to that b5 over there. Knight h5 almost works. I love this position, man. We're having fun. Oh no. I feel a queen sacrifice coming on. Maybe not. Oops. He resigned. This is no place to resign. A chess game. Is black even losing a queen here? How could you resign in this position? So knight here. Right? This one. Yeah, you have like just take it. Or queen h6 check would be the meanest move. You win a rook, basically. Queen h6 check, take, king h7, pawn takes queen. You're just up. You're just up a rook. Sadly. I don't want to see the center pawn loss score for this game. Anyway, thank you for an inspirational game. What was the time control? Dude, listen to this. This game illustrates a more mad side of my chess playing. This was played in an unrated tournament over the board. The time control was 1.5 hours plus half a minute per move increment. I swear to God, I forgot that he said that, and I thought that it was like a 3-minute game. That is frightening, man. You played this in a long game. That is really frightening. Unbelievable. Asperbay, thank you again for the donation, sir. And to all of you who have supported the stream. Jim, to Mr. Coffee, WJ Loof, Oms, Fishrat Cow. We've got Friday and Sunday left in the week, so please support us as much as you can. Arsenal is up next. Arsenal and WJ Loof will be the last games for today. Next week we'll get to Saeed's next game. Be able to look at a game I play now versus 2400 in a rated rapid game. Mental. Chess is a mental game, Arsenal fan. Everyone's trying to dumb down chess by making it bullet or the US, whatever it is, chess league, or trying to push for 60-minute. Mr. Coffee knows what I'm talking about. Chess was made to be mental. It was made to be a game where you actually think about your moves. It doesn't help to dumb down chess by making it a shooter video game, you know? That's something else. But I'm trying to really, appreciate real chess here. I looked through all the games of the London Chess Classic, and I didn't really see any games that I thought were very good. And that's kind of sad if you think about it. It really is. I mean, I'm not the ultimate judge of chess quality. But seriously, I mean, they had this London Chess Classic and I just didn't even see like one game that I thought was really particularly well played. Honestly, it's kind of scary. If you go back to 20 years ago, or even any of the classic tournaments still today, like Weekend Z or whatever. I mean, if you want a good chess game, you got to put in the time. So I'm just joking about Arsenal fans' comment here. Rapid game is mental. It's supposed to be mental. I know that's not what you meant. I'm just joking. Pushing my agenda for slow chess. Especially for beginners, though. Teaching beginners that 1-minute chess is a normal thing. Everybody that I play on lichess is like playing too fast, and they're playing badly fast. The first thing you need to do is to play well, okay? Then you can start to play fast. First play well, and then you can play fast. They're trying to play fast. They learn all kinds of bad habits. I'm just going to stop giving lectures, guys. Here's Arsenal fans' game against Strapunski. Not the Strapunski, as in Alexander. But it's cool. I mean, I understand that non-rated game, casual players who play at the coffee shop with their buddy don't want to play a game that's longer than 30 minutes. Sure, that's normal. I don't want to ruin chess for them. But let tournament chess alone, I want to see like quality games. Strapunski is playing white and Arsenal fan is black. So who the heck is Strapunski? With 93 cent upon loss. Better be mental. Oh, it's Stipunski, my bad. Not to be confused with Strapunski. Relatively new account. You never know what you're getting with the new accounts, but he's got high ratings. He could be a computer, but probably not, given his Xenophon loss of 93 in this game against Arsenal fan. All right, e4, e5, knight f3. Roy Lopez, Berlin defense. The problem with this, for both sides, is that it's the refutation of chess, right? After castles, knight takes e4, d4. Here we are, Knight d6, bishop c6, dc6, de5, knight f5, and the endgame from hell ensues. Frankly, I'm half tempted to start playing this myself because it's almost impossible to win with white. There isn't really a better suggestion how to equalize after knight f6. Other than knight f6. So, Arsenal fan plays knight f6, his opponent plays d3. I've been playing queen e2 quite a bit, and I think it's an interesting move. See if anybody else is going there. Not recently. It looks like there's no games since 2011. But I like queen e2. It gives white slightly more dynamic opportunities. D3 is standard. Svidler did a video series for ChessBase on this, an extensive series. It's just that if you play this, you might as well play bishop c4 on move 3. What's the point of playing the Roy Lopez anymore? Our bishop's misplaced. It should probably be on c4. That's my argument. That's why people started playing bishop c4. Top players are starting to play bishop c4 more because they realize if you have to play d3 in the white side of the Berlin defense, you might as well not even play bishop b5 at all. Plus, you have to deal with the problems with the Marshall. Fast chess is cheapened. It's fun. It's a different thing. It's a different thing. Blitz is a different thing. Rapid is a different thing. I'm fine with that, but just don't cheapen like classical chess by trying to make the tournaments 90-minute games. It's already bad enough that they changed it from 2 hours to 90 minutes for 40 moves. And now they're trying to do away with like the secondary time control of 30 minutes. But yeah, chess, the quality of chess is going down. There's not even any time to play like a quality endgame. So d6 here from Arsenal fan. Arsenal, the main move is bishop c5. But d6 is okay. It's okay. It's like a quiet Joko piano. I've never looked at c4 really. There's nothing wrong with it, you know. Objectively, I'm going to guess that black should play g6. I'm going to go out on a limb. And vote for g6. 28 games with g6. a6 is reasonable, but I like g6. I think I saw Knightich play this with white, actually, now that I think about it. It's funny, Hari Krishna has a game here with white. He's actually a big devotee of the Joko piano, or Joko pianissimo. Anand plays the everything. Svidler, who I talked about the video series. But c4 is an unusual move. I think it's inflexible, it's not great, but it's different, you know, so our hero here is in favor of something different, which I can understand. c4, this move. There's nothing wrong with bishop e7, but g6 is more active. It's the same thing in the Roy Lopez, the Joko piano. If you have the option to play g6 in the Joko piano, you prefer that. The king side is a little safer, and you have slightly more aggressive type of options available. It's like the old Indian versus the king's Indian. Would you rather play the old Indian, or would you rather play the king's Indian? The pieces have more space to move around when you play bishop g7 versus bishop e7. So this is passive, but it's okay. That's difficult for me to comprehend, honestly. I don't even have the first clue why someone who was like rated 2400 would play a3. Kind of a random move. Wow. Not exactly like classical response. So now we started leaving the theoretical confines of Borislav Ivkov and Borky Predoyevich with original play. So all those guys played h3. I don't think that's the only move for white here, but I can't really support a3. I don't find that move makes any sense. h3 against bishop g4, obviously. So a3, you should play bishop g4, and you're threatening the devastating knight d4. And Mr. Stepansky has a problem. I mean, you're threatening to like minimally equalize with bishop takes. Now, if this, things would get interesting. What do we do now? Do we settle for equality with like bishop takes f3, or do we try for more by keeping that bishop or not? And if we did keep the bishop, would we let it get shut down on h5, or do we put it back on c8? This is interesting. It's a Rossalimo. I would, if I was playing a strong player, I would just simplify with bishop takes f3, try to draw. But objectively, I'm not sure what the best move is. Arsenal fan, knight b8. Okay, it's not a terrible move, but I don't think you're not incisively taking advantage of white's mistake. White wasted time with a useless move, and you answered with a relatively useless move. But I think this is probably critical, to try something more dynamic. This is interesting. Also simplifying with a position with less space makes sense to me. And a6, bishop a4 isn't necessarily a big deal. Alexandrov here has a game from 2010 where he played bishop. No, he played rook e8. Wow. That's a solid looking move, but not would be my not that wouldn't be my choice. Stuttering. But Alexandrov has to win against the 2400. He didn't want to trade pieces. Yeah, knight b8 is very weird. I would not advocate this. It's not terrible. It's really his bad bishop, man. I mean, fundamentally what you're doing is you're trading your good bishop for his bad bishop. And it's that's the difficulty with chess. Why chess is so difficult, right? We have all these like competing concepts. So theory says that if you have more space, you should keep the pieces on the board. The theory also says if you have, let's say, less space, you should trade pieces. So that's what Arsenal fans doing here. But that's competing with the fact that he's not supposed to trade his like good bishop for the bad bishop. So it's like a paradox. Like, which principle do you adhere to? Do you go for trading pieces, or do you listen to the fact that you're supposed to keep your better bishop or whatever? Just as hard, like deciding between these different competing principles. b4? It's weird. Now he doesn't trade pieces after all. This feels like it's played on the fly. I agree with c6. Weakening yourself on the opponent's stronger side would be my feel for a5. It started to feel like a King's Indian or something. White has the space advantage with like b4 and c4. Now Arsenal fan plays a5, but I think that he's got more space than you on that side, and you're like opening it up over there. I don't know. I don't like bishop g4, but I feel like we have to do it because we have less space. Alternatively, maybe you could try like a6 to try to play b5, but you need to get your knight out, man. You need to get your knight out. It's critical. So probably this is forced. And white has a space advantage. Here is a mistake. I like how white is patient. ab4, ab4. Not a great square, but we'll take it. White is better. And then knight g4. Yeah, I mean, most players probably wouldn't play this move without the preliminary h3. I mean, this player is rated like 2400, apparently, but he has some holes in his game. He's playing some weird moves like b4, a3. Kind of strange. Bishop d2. Oh, no. So Arsenal just like blundered with a tactic that doesn't work. He recaptures. d5. You just lost a piece, and the guy just hung it. Oh my god. Somebody didn't have enough sleep the night before this game. I don't know if it was Arsenal or his opponent. Basically, he just played some sort of tactic that doesn't work. What was happening here? I'm half expecting like c5. I don't understand. Wow. I don't know what you guys are doing. This is just ridiculous. d5, h3. So thank you. And now it looks like you're threatening queen a5 on the move. It's hard to believe white is like 2400. I think he just didn't have enough sleep. I've got to decline this challenge, guys. We're going through our last two games for today. So he does not see that you have queen a5. I mean, I kind of accept it from Arsenal fan. He's rated like around 2000, high 1900s. But I mean, although what choice does white have? Isn't this like winning a piece? Still, white has some sort of compensation. Okay, you didn't see it, you didn't see it. Life isn't that easy. So at the end of the day, it's like a close to equal material endgame after like 5 blunders by both sides. Horrible. Horrible. Terrible. Delicious. So I'm just trying to keep track of the material. It's 5 pawns each now. That's a great bishop. I love that piece. It never left home. The problem with Arsenal fans move f5 is that the knight is now forever. Ironically, you shouldn't do that. In fact, one of my main considerations here would be to play f6. Goodbye. You're no longer a resident of South Beach. But it's not enough to save black. So in a way, maybe Arsenal's right. Maybe he needs something more dramatic to save the game. This is like one of the worst tactical blunderfests I've ever seen. So we'll just play through for fun. Missing g4. This wasn't like Berserked or something, right? This is a 10-0 rated rapid. Oh, Arsenal actually won. Oh my god. I expected he would like draw or even possibly lose, being down several pieces or whatever. I think that white was drunk. I don't know, Arsenal might have been too. I was just wondering if you could play h5 here, but that's too crazy. Both sides were drunk. That's my only offer of a reasonable explanation for this game. That's the only explanation, guys. Stop submitting games to my stream for analysis where both players were drunk, says the man with the wine in his hand. I play great when I'm drunk. I can play a nice game. This is almost mate, but almost doesn't count. If I'm white here, yeah, I don't know what to do. You can't play rook f4. It drops the knight. That's the hidden bishop over there. Crouching tiger. I bet that's how white loses. He just forgets that bishop even exists and hangs a knight or something. That's my prediction. It's a bold prediction. We're predicting that white forgets about the bishop on c8. Well, the knight's not there anymore. Minus 16. Oof. Yeah, but how are you going to get me on d4? Not going to get him. You're just going to take his queen. That's good. I was looking for mate. You know, I wanted more than taking a queen. Asterbait would play for mate, damn it. Asterbait, thank you for the donation earlier. I was looking for mate, but there's no mate. And unfortunately, this trades queens in all kinds of variations. You just got to take the material. Unbelievable amount of tactical blunders in that game. That's crazy. But congratulations on the win, man. You know what's funny? He had no mistakes. 4 inaccuracies, 6 blunders, no mistakes. He only makes big or little mistakes. Nothing in the middle. Crazy game, man. All right, last game for today. I got to get some rest. For tomorrow's stream, it's WJ Loof. 19 moves in the Evans Gambit accepted. So that's thematic. We had a position like the Evans Gambit earlier. Masha Cherkova. So WJ Loof is white. It's a 5-3 rated blitz game. That's probably the highest rated player that Arsenal has beaten. But I mean, both sides made insane amounts of tactical mistakes in that game for that time control. Very sloppy, boys. B4. I'm just waiting for someone to play this against me. I have no good prep against the Evans Gambit. I started trying to play E4, E5 again. But for some reason, the Evans Gambit just is not popular. Nobody plays it. You must take... This is the big question. Bishop E7 or Bishop A5. And even Bishop D6 is like an obscure variation. I don't know. I mean, Bishop A5 seems to be the main line, but Bishop E7 feels safer to play Bishop E7. But this is recommended. I saw a good variation recommended like a year or two ago by, I think it was Chess24, some Chess24 video. Let's see if you follow that line. D4, ED4, Queen B3, Queen F6. Oh, I know what it is. I like this recommendation here, D6. This is what I would choose. So this line with D6, Queen B3, Queen D7. I mean, it's not like it puts the gambit out of business, but it does look like it makes life kind of difficult for white. It's not fun anymore. Very, very solid choice. Taking the fun out of the Evans Gambit. This line with Queen E7. It's not a new idea. It's been around for quite some time. But it looks like it is one of the most solid ways to play with black, at least. So we get something more traditional here. E takes D4. Short Kasparov. The Short Kasparov 2011 is one of these silly exhibition matches. It's kind of arrogant to play the Evans against Kasparov, since he's the one who like brought the opening back into the modern realm. But I think Nigel Short likes attention. Anyway, this was just his repertoire, I suppose. He played it against everybody. Queen F6, castles, pawn takes pawn. Who has time for that? Following Short Kasparov 2011 exhibition game, the Short Piquet figured out that the Evans declined is not a good idea before his retirement. He's now sitting on the beach in Monaco, counting his money. But let's see. Queen F6, castles, pawn takes pawn. You think Short played it before Gary? Like, before he was born, or what? Gary played it in like the 90s. Really? Are you sure? I didn't think anybody played the Evans before Kasparov played it in the early 90s, dude. I mean, so you're saying like Nigel Short was playing the Evans in the 80s, or what? Kasparov played it in like 1992 or 1993. I mean, Short's pretty, he's considerably younger than Kasparov. So, actually, maybe not that much younger. But he is younger than Kasparov, so I don't know. I mean, we'll have to find out. I'm not sure. Let's see. I mean, people played it in Blitz and stuff, but nobody ever dared to play it in like a world class tournament. Coach until Kasparov did. I mean, maybe Nigel Short played it on the weekend circuit in a or some sort of Grand Prix with 2100 players. I mean, but it's possible. I really don't know. But I mean, Kasparov played it really early. If you look at the games, they're like from like 1994. Did Short really play it like pre 1994? He only really became a strong player, I think, around maybe the late 80s, 1987, in around there. The Cochrane Gambit is not played by many. Surinus Skolskas. So, anyways, not clear on that. Pawn takes pawn, e5. This is theory. Surprising for me is that black could get this far in the opening, in book. And then take his pawn on e5. So knight takes e5, rook e1. Aren't you just dropping a piece to like queen b5 check, winning the bishop on a5? Yeah, this is the wrong idea. That's like Asterbait. He likes knight g5. I would just simply do this, like knight e5, de5, and queen b5 check, winning a piece. Or not. It doesn't win a piece because of this. But it might be even better. Let's see. So you're on this bishop. You don't actually win a piece here. That's the problem. Oh, you're just winning the queen, my god. King f8, anyone? Not really a healthy looking idea. That's why we play the Evans Gambit for positions like this. Yeah, it's funny that black could get this far, theoretically, WJ Loof, and play a move like knight takes e5. Okay, anybody could lose their mind momentarily. It's a shame, too, because you really could have an interesting game. So you got carried away. You got to remember that bishop on a5 is a huge liability for black. It's often falling or getting trapped on a5. One of the reasons why I like, maybe that bishop e7 line better. Yeah, Astorbait's a big fan of the knight f7. It's called the Cochrane Gambit. And again, the only top player I've seen who plays that is the Lithuanian Solskis. A few players have played it. Like, maybe I saw a Topalov game. I don't remember. Kasparov Anand, 1995. There were like 2 or 3 games by Kasparov in the Evans Gambit. It was a sensation at the time. I'm old enough to remember that. But I mean, it's not like Kasparov invented the... It's not like he invented the Evans Gambit. I mean, obviously, but he was the only one brave enough to play it at the 2700 level, That was what was significant. Everyone thought it was a joke, and he beat 2 or 3 strong players. But then he had to give it up because it was too easy to prepare for. Knight takes e6. And now you saw it. Now you see it, now you don't. You saw it now. But sadly, black didn't play the critical move, which is c6. Or even king d8. Thing is, if you take on a5, black takes on c4. There's even crazy moves like c2. This sadly loses. So if black had played c6, I'm sorry to leave the engine on, but I just can't imagine other than queen b7, but we've got nothing here. Black could just defend somehow. Would it have been better to take the other way, like this? Could this bring us any value? Like even king d7 looks like a reasonable move. That gets really crazy, because the king is going to have to play the fried liver here. After knight e6, yeah, there's some sensible moves. This is protected. This is just out of control. WJ Loof, all you need to do is to just remember, this is not a move. Black should play queen g6. And it's a game, it looks like. Now knight g5. Maybe you confused it with that. Now knight g5 is really interesting. Bishop e2? Dude, what? Bishop e2? e5? You mean instead of e5 or what? Bishop e2? What bishop e2? Here? To play bishop e2? I don't even know what that does. What does that do? Certainly we don't want to retreat that. I mean, it's pressuring f7. Evans would be sick if he heard you suggest that. Captain Evans. So, just a clear win. Knight e5. And then the computer found some crazy moves here. Bishop g5. But I would just win the piece. Just take it. Actually, this is more accurate, right? I was suggesting knight e5, d e5, queen c6 and stuff. But this really just does win a piece, like you just take here. That's the easiest thing. There are some complications with c2 maybe, but I pretty much think that white probably has a multitude of moves. Anything is good, knight d2. Yeah, so this shows how dangerous the Evans Gambit really is. So let's see what happened. You went astray with knight g5. Black plays a blunder. You take it. Bishop e6. I still don't buy this. This isn't clear. Like, you had to play that, okay? Here, 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 here. And luckily he lost his queen. So take, take. Black is left with the pawn on c3. And a relatively stable structure, but it's... You're down a whole queen for a rook. I mean, a whole queen for a rook is too much. Black is, it's just too much. bg5. Yeah, this is unnecessary. Take the pawn. This is scary for a moment because black has rook b8, but you could just take this as well. It almost looks like your queen is trapped. It's funny. Anyway, this was a safe move. With the pawn coming down, I can understand that. I might have played it myself. Oof. There was a beautiful move there. Bishop d7 check. That would have been more expedient. Simpler, I should say. Castling anyone? Where are you going? Castling is strangely illegal in this position. And with that note, guys, we're going to close down the stream. Illegal castling has been performed in over-the-board games, but never so blatantly as like in this position. I think if anyone allowed castling in this position, they would deserve to lose. Castling into check, I've never heard of. Like, castling like through check, or castling after you've moved your king already, but getting away with like castling into check would be a new page in chess history. G Spaltz, good evening. Anyway, guys, we're just finishing up the stream. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks to Astrobate for your kind donation. And thanks to everybody for subscribing again. Mr. Coffee, thanks for stopping by earlier. We're going to be streaming again tomorrow at 11 a.m. playing Blitz. Quicker Blitz, like 5+3 with viewers. Whatever, we'll be hanging out with you guys. You're welcome for the stream, guys. And I will be back on Friday. Sundays are simul. I've got a team game about an hour out of Budapest, and I should be back in time for the normal schedule. On Sunday at 6:30 Central European Time, 25 player simul. Hopefully, we beat the IM 2320 with a K factor of 20. I was just complaining about this with one of my students. Just a rule thing, but we will try to win our game on Sunday against dude with an unfair K factor. I will see you guys later. Thanks for joining me. Thanks, Astrobate. Thanks, everybody. Mr. Coffee again. I'll see you on Friday, tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. CET. Good games, guys. It was fun. Thanks for joining me. And from the Panda, see you guys later. Bye-bye. Goodbye. Bye-bye, guys.